Did you know that 92% of people who set goals never accomplish them? That means only 8% of people win. So, what does that mean? Goals and transformation are hard. Let's just not beat around the bush. They're hard, but there's ways to make it happen. So, in this video, I'm going to help you give you the truth behind transformation in your fitness, your career, and your relationships. Pretty much any change and transformation you want to have, we're going to fall into those three categories. And if you stick to the end, I'm going to give you 7 simple steps that you can follow to apply it in any area of transformation that you're looking for in this life. So, if you don't know, my name is Calvin Gohard Richard, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so and like this video, share it with your peeps, all those things, because most likely they're trying to change something or transfer something in their life as well. So let's do that. So for myself, I've been in the industry of sports medicine, strength and conditioning, fitness for 25 plus years. I own a fitness studio where I coach folks with team personal training here in Marble Falls, Texas, but also to have online coaching program working with men for growth in their life and business. And so kind of seen all the excuses. I've heard them all, seen them all. And there's a part where we get stuck. We want to make change. New Year's resolutions. Most people they don't make it through the month of January. And so a lot of times we won't even start a program for the new year until the end of January, even going into the beginning of February, because folks have already fallen off because they don't have the support, they don't have the systems, they don't have the coaching, the accountability, or the community necessary to make it happen. So all those are major factors. So let's look at the things that are necessary for us to be successful at our particular goals. Here's the thing. Humans are the only creatures that limit our full success, our full capacity in life. How fast do we want the cheetah to run? As fast as possible. How high do we want the oak tree to grow? As tall as possible. How smart do we want our kids to be? As smart as possible. But when it comes down to how fit I want to be, I just want to be a little bit. When it comes down to how much money I want to make, I don't want to make too much, as though you're making a lot is going to take away from somebody else. So there's a lot of mindsets and thought processes that go into place that hinder us from the growth in there. We were created to be successful in the area that God called us to be in. Success is different for every person. I'm not talking about just make wealth or whatever it may be, but He's putting us on the earth to be a replication of who He is. And the first thing we know about God is that He is a creator. He created the heaven and earth. The first thing we know about us is that He created us in His image. So success is part of the template. Once again, some people get so crazy about the word success. It's living out the potential that your God-given divine appointment that honors Him and serves His people. That's what we're here to do. So everyone has a different calling when it comes down to. But if you're supposed to do something, God is calling you to do something, you're supposed to do it in excellence. So excellence is the measure. What is excellence in your life? You want to be able to go in those particular areas itself. So I'm going to break down and say whether you look at it as fitness, career, or in relationships. Typically, health, wealth, and relationships. So you hear in those particular areas where people transform. And like I said, once again, it's going to be under any of those particular situations. So you can take out fitness and say health. You can put wellness, well-being, any of those particular things. Because I'm not just talking about your physical fitness. I'm talking about your emotional fitness, your emotional health, your mental health. All those factors are what we talk about inside of that too. So when you're looking at it, here's the thing. I'm going to give you stats and some numbers and things along the way too as well. Regular physical activity can reduce the risk of chronic disease like heart disease by up to 35% and type 2 diabetes by up to 50%. Okay. So I'm not so big on the WHO, the World Health Organization, and a lot of times they have an agenda on certain things. But we're just going to say that one thing they said here, they say some good stuff. Insufficient physical activity is one of the leading risk factors for global mortality, causing an estimated 3.2 million deaths globally each year. So if you look back on 2020, we had that pandemic, that stuff was going on in 2020. We looked at the most common comorbidity in folks that did not do well was due to obesity. It's just real. I say this all the time. You see elderly people, you see obese people. You don't see elderly obese people because they don't make it. And I know what you're going to say. Well, I got one uncle who's he's 350 pounds and he's 85. There are outliers. I know some very well, former clients who, by statistics, they are on borrowed time. They have living way past that life expectancy according to their bodies, their physical bodies itself. So physical activity is one of the biggest things. Even when it comes down to anxiety, depression, and those kind of situations going on. If I'm an overthinker, like which I am, I can be an overthinker. And so some of you guys out that I'm speaking to, maybe an overthinker. You're not going to outthink the overthinking, overwhelm process, but you can move through it. So many times training your physical body, doing some things that are laborious and strenuous to your body itself, the physicality will increase the endorphins and the all the healthy hormones that come along with it. So you actually get high from the workout. And it can change this euphoric effect in your body and your mind and the way you feel. It can change your entire mood by moving your body, especially if you do it with some rigor. You do it with some intensity. These are the things that can change. So I can change my physiology by training hard or going for a walk. As I say, which is not popular by a lot of folks, walking is transportation. It's not exercise. Now, of course, it is an amazing mental, emotional mindfulness exercise. But if the goal is it for, now, I want to weight loss and change, yes, you can burn a lot of calories. But once again, back in the day, walking was transportation. It wasn't a form of exercise. Now, of course, it's great for your mindfulness. It's moving meditation. There's so many things. You're going to get great ideas from walking. So I'm not poo-pooing on it. But as far as if your body can move with more vigor, I want you to move with more vigor and let the walking be a part of your mindfulness exercise more so than it be about your fat loss or weight loss or strength training routine, because it's not. Okay. So scripture says in First Corinthians 6:19, do you know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? So if we're this rental property is what I'm supposed to use, God's rental property that I'm supposed to use to carry out my life's message, my life's mission. If I'm going to use that, it needs to be optimal. Okay, our cars that get us back and forth to certain places, it takes the car to actually be in good shape to get us there. It transports us. If you have kids, you want it to be safe for our kids. So there's a portion of that where we have to take care of the vehicle, the vessel that carries the anointing, that carries the assignment, that it carries the things we're supposed to do. But once again, it's part of what we need to do is taking care of these physical bodies. So if you're looking for transformation and change, once again, there's going to be all kind of obstacles and ideas that come up along the way. So limiting beliefs about exercise. I've got injuries. I'm too old. I don't have the time. Once this gets better, my life is too busy. When this happens, then I'll do it. And so we see it so common, especially with women who may be enthralled in taking care of the household, taking care of the work stuff, taking care of the kids, and taking care of husband, which is like the big kid in the house as well, and many times. And I don't have any time for me. And if I do take any time to take care of anything for me, I'm going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to feel bad about it. So there's a portion of women who go into their late 40s and 50s and 60s until they finally start taking care of themselves or making themselves a priority when it comes down to exercise and fitness and wellness. And that's where you see these endurance athletes that women are typically killing it in their 50s and 60s more so than those in their 20s and 30s because life is busy and all those particular things. But here's the thing. We will make time when emergency comes up. We'll make time to get to the hospital if there's an emergency. We make time to get to the funeral. Okay. So we have to realize that we will make time when we make it a priority. You have to make the fitness a priority. You have to make the exercise a priority. You have to make it your body transformation something that is a priority. So what we focus on expands. So all I have recent conversation, like our training sessions at our place are at 6, 7, and 8. Now we used to have a 5 a.m. pre-COVID. It's just people don't go that early. But I've got folks that, oh, 8 is just way too early. I can't do that. If you had a 10 o'clock, then I'll do it. So you're going to hold off and wait until somebody has a 10 o'clock to find things perfect to fit into my perfect little schedule versus saying 2 hours of me making a change is worth it if you have the schedule to make it happen. When people say, I'm not a morning person, but the only time I can do it is in the morning. We all can become whatever is necessary to get it done. We can all become that. Okay. So for some folks, if you're a mom, You have been a morning, an afternoon, an evening, a middle of the night person. If you had a little baby to take care of, you become whatever's necessary time of day person. So when folks say that, like, oh, I'm just not a morning person, who said that? Who told you that? Who told you you're not a morning person? Now, some folks will, or maybe better in the afternoon or better in the morning, but you do is necessary for your schedule. What's going to make it happen? Because if I said, hey, show up at 6 a.m. to come work out, I'll give you $3,000 every single workout. Cock a doodle doo. You just became a morning person. So once again, you got to raise the priority of it. You got to make it so that I'm willing to make those changes. And it's going to, once again, I said, it's hard. It is hard to make changes. So everybody's looking for hacks. Everybody's looking for shortcuts. Shortcut is the longest way to get to your goal. There's some things that you have to do hard. If you do it as hard, your life will be easy. If you do it as easy, your life will be hard. That's elements of what Go Hard even stands for. Reaching your full potential. What does that take? What sacrifices? Where am I wasting time that I could be applying to training? Even if it's just 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day is if it's intense, that'll get it done. Better than saying all or none. So I'm going to speak to some all or none kind of people. Well, I used to work out an hour and a half, and and I don't have the time to do the hour and a half. Don't do an hour and a half. Do 45 minutes. Change the intensity. I used to train when I was in, especially in grad school, in high school, and grad school and undergrad. I was two and a half hours on one or two body parts. Okay, I don't have the time, and guess what? I don't have the energy, and I don't need to be all that big. I mean, that was the priority was me working at that level. But I also was single and I was young. And so there are different times and seasons where you have to change and adapt, travel, whatever it may be. It's like, it's not a question if I'm going to, when I'm traveling, like if I'm going to work out, it's just where. It's part of what I do. So once again, I'm raising the standard and becoming the identity of the person who does that. Okay. So all the reasons that you're talking about, I don't have a gym membership, I can't afford, you can do it from home. You can get some dumbbells, kettlebells, body weight, you can do some things from home. But once again, if you fight for your limitations in any of these, you get to keep those limitations. Okay. Are you going to fight for the limitations, or are you going to fight for the reasons why I can and why I must and why I've gotta make it happen? That's the part where you focus in. So if you're watching this live, definitely drop some comments in there or have questions, comments. I'd love to hear from you guys and answer them live if you're here with us live on here now too as well. So, just really consider, what is it that I need to do? The why. Pay attention to the reason, what would happen if you don't make the change now. If you keep putting it off and keep putting it off, you're going to end up in a doctor's office. You're going to end up on some prescription meds. You're going to end up in other areas that are not where you want to be. So you got to paint the picture of what it looks like to win, and also what it looks like to lose if I keep going without doing this change, this transformation. If I don't step into the transformation, what does it look like if I don't do that? Okay. Um, so I love what Jim Rome said. Jim Rome said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. It is. It's a discipline. It's the commitment. Commit first. I just had a conversation with somebody who was like, former client, when they were talking about getting in here and getting started again. I'm just not ready to commit to that yet. That's emotional, and that's okay. But you make the commitment because the goal says it's necessary. Don't wait, let the emotions catch up to it. You make a commitment and say, I'm in. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end too as well. So let's talk about career, where you talk about either moving up in your job, for those who move in their job place. If you're in a business, you're an entrepreneur, or you're starting a business. These are some of the things that we want to look at. So here's some stats. It's not just about the money you make and those things, but what's the impact to others and for yourself? Fulfillment is a big thing, especially with the men that I work with. I'm doing something, but I don't quite feel fulfilled in this. It's not filling my cup. I'm doing something. A lot of folks are stuck in having a golden handcuffs, meaning they make good money, but they feel like they're not walking in their purpose. They're not doing what they're called to do. And so that's a hard place to be in making any kind of transitions to that. Now, you could find a way to bring more fulfillment. Possibly, you could probably find a way to bring more fulfillment in what you do. It might be a reassignment. It may be an adjustment into the position and the things, your responsibilities. Some of those things may be the things that you adjust, or it may be like, this job is the thing that pays the bills, and I have this passion project on the side that I start to develop on the outside. So we're going to look at it. What's the satisfaction? So career satisfaction is strongly linked to overall satisfaction. A study by the University of Warwick found that happiness can increase productivity by 12%. So work environment matters. The type of people you're around, the boss, the leadership, how do they handle things? So you could be more productive just from being joyful in your work, feeling like you're doing something that matters, makes a difference. Okay. Especially as men, we put so much emphasis on our work. Especially as men, there's so much of our identity is in the accolades, the assignments, the titles, the accomplishments, but also the failures, the lost business, the bankruptcy, the DUI, whatever those particular things are. We make that part of our identity, and so we have to be careful how much we place that emphasis on there. But there should be some joy and fulfillment. If you're just, like the old commercial, time to make the donuts, there's no joy in that. There's no fulfillment in that. And so you have to make sure and be willing, if God is calling you to make a change, to leave what you're doing, to start something else or change careers, especially if you've been doing it for a long time. It's hard to see yourself in the identity of somebody else or doing something else, because this has been such a staple in the way you've done it. And you just sometimes go along to get along. And this is what I've always done. And you're afraid of what's called sunk cost bias. I put this many years in this, so I don't want to lose that. But you're going to go another 10 years, 15 years just doing something that you know is not filling your cup. And that's the part where you have to recognize, do I need to step into something different courageously? Feel the fear. It's going to be scary, but do it anyway. It's going to be hard, but find the resources necessary for you to get there. According to Gallup poll, only 33% of employees in the U.S. are engaged in work, highlighting the need for career transformation to improve job satisfaction and performance. So 33% of employees feel like they have to make a change. That they're the ones that are engaged. That means, what's that, 67% are not. So only a small percentage of people are actually feeling fulfilled in their thing. So there's a lot of folks that are like, what else is there? What other moves is necessary for them to make it happen? A lot of folks think that 50% of employees will need to reassess their skills. So I can remember my dad, reskilling, learning newer skills along the way. I remember my dad, who does not know computers. He has a flip phone with a Bluetooth attachment. It took 2 hurricanes for my dad to finally get a cell phone, because all he used to say before that was, y'all got those walkie-talkies. I don't need those walkie-talkies. He is as much against technology as anybody on this planet. And so I can remember when they had these old dinosaur computers at his workplace, and they started getting these new computers and wanted to train people on it. My dad did not want to even take they had a test to find out how much you knew about computers and how much you didn't know, so they know where to start you off and what they needed to teach. My dad said, I don't even want to take the test, because I might accidentally get stuff right and y'all start me off at another level. He was like that adamant about, like, not computers. And I can remember going in the office saying, I say, you learn that computer? Yeah, watch this. And he'll move the mouse and turn the screen on. Look at that. Ta-da. So you're talking about somebody old school, my dad's old school, holding on to those old ideas. Consider this. There are things we need to learn. We can buck against AI. We probably bucked against social media. We've bucked against all the you know what I mean? The tech advancements. I can't even say that word right now. I'm gonna get it later. After this we get off, I'll get it. Technological, but tech changes. How about that? So we fight against AI. We fight against those things, but some things are inevitable that you have to learn. Like, I gotta have a stick shift. I gotta have certain things. Here's the deal. I live in Marble Falls, Texas, which is approximately an hour, and some change away from Austin. There was a day, like right now, if we say we want to go to Austin, we've got about 3 different routes we can take. We can take it that we would take. Depends on if we want to go north and center, more south. There's different routes we take. There was a day when, if I was asking you, hey, let's go into Austin, there's a day where the decision making was going to be, so what horses are we going to take? Are we going to take the black horse, the brown horse, or the white horse? What guns are we going to take? Well, how much food are we going to pack? Where are we going to stop? That was the norm. That's not the same anymore. Okay. Sometimes we're holding on to old beliefs, old structures, especially when it comes down to how we work, how we get educated and prepare for work. In most situations, college is an outdated system. Yes, I know you're going to fight it and all those things. Now, once again, there are careers that it's necessary. You want to go in the medical field, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be an engineer. There are certain places and areas where you need to have the college. And if that's necessary, that's what's necessary. But a lot of different jobs and occupations in businesses, it does not require that. I'm The latest stat I've heard was that only 16% of college graduates use a degree. 16%. But some of us are still just herding people in because that's how we did it. And that's how my parents did it. And this is what we do. And we just go follow the system. So some of us are following outdated systems for growth and for change and the way we make money. It's a new economy. It's about attention. It's about some people can do real estate. I just had a conversation with one of my clients, and like he's retired, does really well, and has done really well. But it was the investments that his grandparents made in real estate that provided a way. So I didn't have grandparents with land and things like this. I didn't have that opportunity. So I got to create it myself. But it may not be in a physical real estate. It may be in digital real estate. Having property in the mind of the internet. Those are different ways to look at it. And so how do I create that kind of income or create that kind of impact as well in a way that's meaningful to me and meaningful to the people that I serve and I'm well equipped to? Or I read the books and do the courses and get the coaching and consulting to get the steps and get the equipment necessary for me to do it. Okay. So that's a part of it where you got to look and see. Here's another one. I'm stuck in my current job. A survey by LinkedIn found that 87% of people are open to finding new job opportunities, even if they aren't actively looking. So part of us is we got to commit our work to God. Are we really paying attention to the things that we're great at? What things we're not good at? What are the things that really light us up? What are the things that we feel called to eradicate and change in society? Some of those things may be just sitting on the back burner, but maybe God is pulling you to step out of that and go towards those particular things. Okay. So what is it? Where are you holding yourself back? I don't have the skills. I have to wait. At one of my Lionheart clients, he was moving, like basically we're working on one thing, but indirectly his leadership was growing and his finances were growing. He was getting promotions, he was getting raises, he was getting changes in all these particular things. And traditionally we think, well, that one person that's ahead of me, he's gonna retire in about 4 years. So I can wait for that and then I'll jump in that position. And then that person might be retired. And that's once again, that's an outdated system. If you become so good they can't ignore you, you may be elevating above people. If you're so good, they may create a position specifically for you that is not even on the board, on the charts. So these are the things where the growth and change and how you elevate through an organization may change according to the skills and how much more valuable you are. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out above all the rest of the folks around you? So that may be one way is your skill acquisition, the information that you learn on the side, or you ask, where can I advance? How can I move? And you can skip the rungs on the ladder. You can jump over and sideways amongst other folks around you. So it doesn't have to be the traditional sense. Well, if I spend this much time and eventually I'm going to do that. If I work enough overtime, they're going to notice me. Once again, maybe outdated systems. How can you create more value that you bring to the marketplace inside of an organization or just to the economy outside of it? How can I become more, about that? So are you learning? Are you networking? Are you doing certain things that's building your skill set? Are you making yourself noticeable in the marketplace? That takes marketing. That takes promotions. That takes certain things. And like I said, that can happen inside of an organization. It's not just about what happens outside of there. Am I doing things that gets noticed? Am I challenging myself to step outside of those particular things there too as well? So continuous learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm working on my craft. Like even right now, there's 3 people on here live. There'll be a day where there is going to be 103. There will be. But right now, I'm just getting started at YouTube. I'm not good at YouTube yet. So this is a new thing. It's uncomfortable. I make mistakes. I may have my mic might be not right. All these things there. I still talk too fast. I know that, but there's changes that are going to come. I'm going to get better over time. The same way, whatever you're getting started, once again, the change and the transformation is hard, but it's not impossible. So you have to look and say, okay, what am I looking to do to become more valuable to the marketplace? And I may step in some things or that may be my strengths versus my weaknesses and my lack of things that I'm moving there too as well. Okay. So let's go to 3 when we're talking about transforming your relationships. Now, when I'm talking about relationships, um, any form of relationship, first and foremost, your relationship with God. What does that look like? How do I need to transform or change that relationship in marriage, in my kids and my parents, relationships with friends and people in my community, relationships inside of the workplace? But also do not neglect your relationship with yourself. How do I change the relationship with myself? Maybe you beat yourself up. Maybe you talk condescending to yourself. There are certain things that you have done and will do over time that makes a difference. That how do I get better at those kind of relationships? So I want you to just consider when we're looking at this, what kind of what relationships you're looking at right now that needs work. What I need to get better at in my particular workplace itself. Excuse me, in the relationships that I have right now, whether it's they're okay and I want to bring them to another level, or some that are just really struggling. You may have some relationships that have gone through some turmoil, some issues. Once again, if you're watching this live, if you've got comments, questions, drop them in there. I'd love to communicate with you about that too as well, whatever you may have. So what is it about there? Here's when we're talking about Harvard University has some research, and it says that the 75-year grant study reveals that strong relationships are the key to long and happy life, more than money or fame. Your community matters. So you look at it when we talk about in the Bible, the first thing God said was not good. It's not good for man to be alone. The first thing he says is that it's not good for man to be alone. So community matters, relationships matter, all those particular things. Now, of course, you're talking about is having a helpmeet in Eve, but it's not just stopping there. There's value in having children, value in having strong relationships in so many different ways. Jesus could have done it by himself, but he had apostles. He had the 12 apostles, he had disciples, all these folks along with him. David could have done it by himself in many situations. Obviously, Jesus could have done everything by himself, but he chose to have 37 mighty men alongside of him. Check my math, my numbers might be off, but he had these mighty men alongside of him. Okay, there's groups and there's power in the community that you have and the relationships that you have. If I have a pretty strong network, God has blessed me with having a pretty strong network. I just put a post out. My daughter's looking for make some extra money. I put a post out. I've got inboxes. I got people with job opportunities come there, and that's a strength in my network. And so, what are your relationships? How do I need to change some of those? Am I being too shy or telling myself that I'm such an introvert that I don't talk to people like that? We don't be careful of the labels. I'm an introvert, so I don't do this. I don't have these conversations. Don't get stuck in labels. I'm an extrovert. I can only do it when people are around. Whatever the labels are, I'm just shy. I'm bipolar. I'm whatever it is. Let some of the labels come down so that you can step into the growth that you need in these particular areas itself. Okay, so American Psychological Association, people with a strong social relationships have a 50% increase in likelihood of survival than those with weaker social relationships. So think about this. There's a reason why there's concentration camps. There's a reason why in slavery that folks were being separated. They separated a man from the family because they knew that you can divide and conquer. If you're in the prison system and you do something really bad, they will put you in a solitary confinement because they know isolation from human interaction is brutal to the mind. It's brutal to the heart. And so part of that is saying that I can survive more, a gospel song, and I need you to survive. I pray for you, you pray for me. We're all part of God's family. I won't withhold from you words from my mouth. I need you to survive. Yep, I'm about to butcher that a little bit too, but it's part of that community. There's a part of community of the body of Christ working together. There's a reason why we have team personal training at our studio. Okay. Our motto is we have now I'm mixing the whole thing. We have solved the problem of expensive and boring one-on-one personal training. That's our motto because it is. It's expensive and it's boring. We have a reason but it's also the synergy of the high fives, the synergy of the people working together. Right now, as I'm doing this, my two of my coaches are in there getting a training session in themselves. But if they did it one by themselves, it's going to be harder than just them two together. The accountability of iron sharpening iron makes it easier and simpler to say, let's do this together. You're going to have more energy, more effort. All those things are going to happen when you have others along with you. It's two is better than one. There's so many different reasons when it talks about having community matters. So your relationships make a difference. So love, John 13:34, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. So the love also is the encouragement. It's the correction, you know, uh, the correction that comes from that. And it happens in marriages, that happens in close relationships, where the correction in the, sometimes the rebuking is necessary. And I've got friends that, and we all should have some folks that can call us out. We've got to have those kind of individuals that can call us out, and when you can go to them. And I have several of those guys in my life that can do that. They have a great authority to do so. Okay, so what are the challenges that comes up with that? I don't have time to build relationships, or I've been hurt before. Because I've been hurt in a past relationship, I may not want to move in towards the next one. But you have to be vulnerable. You have to put your heart on the line. I have to know and understand that not everybody's the same, and not every situation is the same. That what happened to me 5 years ago. I'm a different person, and I've learned from it. But if I put up these walls and roadblocks against new relationships, I'm going to continue to be in the same spot. So we have to also take ownership, and where is it that we've done wrong in that particular relationship? What are the areas that we need to grow in that relationship, or as a person who is looking for community, who's looking for relationships and associations along the way? I need to be able to pay attention to those particular things as well. Okay. So what's holding me back? What are the thought processes? I don't want, what if they think about this? And what will they think about me? What do they believe about me? All those particular things are going to be limiting factors that comes along with that. So how good of a listener are you? How good of a friend are you? Are there some things that you need to recognize in yourself that I need to be better at within his relationships? Am I giving that person the room to speak and express themselves? Am I encouraging? Am I helping them? If I'm enthusiastic about our relationship. So those are the kind of things I need to pay attention to. Am I really prioritizing quality time, especially if your love language is quality time? My wife's love language is number one is quality time. So I have to be intentional about that. You know what the person needs. Okay. So, and just in common relationships or close relationships, what is it that person needs? Am I giving just as much as I'm receiving? So I need to look into those particular things and recognize, what am I done? What have I done? What things have I learned about relationships growing up that are not serving me? We may love our parents, but some things they didn't teach us correctly. And so I need to recognize that. What is it that I've learned about relationships in my church or in school or through my parents, through business relationships? Once again, what's my relationship with God? If I did not have a good father figure to represent God on earth, it may be difficult. And I recognize the awareness says, I recognize that there is some limitations in believing in a good father. For some people, that is such a strange concept because they have never seen a good father on earth. So that might be a hard thing for you to recognize, but that just says I'm going to be intentional in working towards that, because I am aware of that now. I am aware that my upbringing and my circumstances may determine and dictate that I didn't have the best situation. Okay. Got a quote here. The best thing to hold on to in life is each other. That's from Audrey Hepburn. And the quality of your life is in the quality of your relationships. That's Tony Robbins. So relationships matter. The people that you do life with. In our studio, we do life. It's not just about come work out by. We do life. We have events. We have certain things, and we can continue to get better at that. As far as having those things where we care. We want to care about what's going on with you and your kids and your family when somebody's sick, when somebody's hurting, when somebody's out. That's part of the communication. So the same way of in our relationships, what am I doing? Am I just going through the motions, or am I really paying attention to the people that are in my life? And am I giving towards that? Once again, if you watching this, you're enjoying this, like the video, subscribe, do all the YouTube things like that. But also, if you're watching this live, please drop a comment or comment, question, anything like that. I love to answer them when it comes down to any of these areas. We're talking about transformation in your your fitness, your career, and in the relationship. So, um, those are the things we got to pay attention to. What's going on there? Or is it fear? You know, or what is it? Is it the fear of change that gets in my way? Are those particular things there? So, like 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and the love of self-control. Or another version says sound mind. So I need to know that fear is there. I need to understand that it's there, but I'm still going to do it anyway. So what are the reservations and limiting beliefs that I have there? I might just be scared of change. Change, like I said, it just could be. What does it look like that 60% of adults actually say that they're afraid of change? I was talking to my buddy who was in financial services. A lot of folks don't want to change, like insurance business, are scared to change their policies. What about pre-existing circumstances, situations? What are these things? If I change, then does that cancel all those things out? I don't know how to make a change. And so some things are more difficult. We have these roadblocks in our head about how hard it's going to be versus how rewarding it's going to be to make this transformation, to go through this change. Once again, what you focus on expands. What are you focusing on that's going to make a big difference? Okay. But change is inevitable. It's necessary for growth. Right now the conversation in Marble Falls about the growth. There's new housing developments and there's new things that are being developed in shopping center. And the folks that have been here for a long time are always like, oh, we're changing everything, ruin everything. It's ruined. It's becoming a big city. It's becoming Austin. Guess what? Austin at one point in time looked like Marble Falls. Okay, it did. Change is inevitable. So you can fight it and go move somewhere else where there's no change happening, but eventually change is going to happen there too. So some of the things we have to embrace where things are going and be a part of the change. And once again, if I'm going to focus on all the negative or the hard parts of it, that's what I'm going to get more of. What I focus on expands. I got to choose to focus on what's going to work in my benefit. I can focus on the problem, or I can focus on a solution. That's going to be totally up to me and what I decide to do. So let's put it all together here, guys. So I'm going to give you 7 easy, simple steps. Not easy. I don't like to do easy, but simple steps that can help you with transformation. Okay. Number 1 is decide. To decide is more powerful than to consider or to choose. Decide means I make a decision to cut off. It means to cut off or cut away from. So I decide that this is the pattern and every other option is cut away. It's no longer even an option. So once again, if I'm traveling, unless I'm intentional about taking a rest from my body because my body needs rest, I'm still going to train. I'm still going to brush my teeth. I'm still going to wipe my butt. I'm going to do those particular things along the way because it's necessary for my growth. It's necessary in my identity of who I am. So that's part of it. So I'm going to decide that I'm going to make this move. I'm going to make this transformation. Make a decision. And you have to make the decision because there are always going to be naysayers. There's going to be people out there, and the biggest naysayer can easily be right in the mirror. Okay, so I make a decision to transform. That's step 1. Step 2, die. Is die. Death, burial, and resurrection is still, it's the model that Christ gave us, but it's also the model for any change. I need to die to my old self. I need to die to my old thinking. I need to die to the comments and beliefs of others that are there. I need to die to my past failures. All those things need to die off. Okay. So my patterns, my beliefs, my actions, the old me, I can't take the old me into the new me. There's some core identity things that are there, but there's some things that need to totally just die off. I need to die, bury them, and I can resurrect into a new person. The new identity of the change, the transformed life in any of these particular areas that I'm looking for. I need to die to that. Okay. Step 3 is direct. I got to have direction. So that's my vision, my focus. Once again, what you focus on expands. So for me, I need to make sure I get clarity that brings certainty. Get clarity on where I'm going. So what is it going to take? What do I want to do? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What things I can visualize myself winning at this particular area? So I need to have direction. Okay. And this is the time not to be practical. Don't be realistic because you're going to have those dream killers. Oh, girl, you messed up last time, bro. You ain't going to start another business, right? You know what happened last time. You're going to have dream killers. Don't be realistic and don't be reasonable. Okay. I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what we've been taught, but I need you to think bigger. There's a reason why Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote the book 10x is easier than 2x, because the big goal has less options, and you can focus in on those particular patterns with that when it comes down to that. All right. So don't be realistic. Watch out for the dream killers. Focus on the whys and the who's, not the how. But how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that, that doesn't work. That's not necessary. The hows will show up when you have a strong enough why that goes deep into how it affects you and those you call the lead and serve. And you're going to get into the why, like the who's. Who are the people necessary? Who do I need to hire? What book do I need to read? What relationships of people that I need to have right around me? Yeah, Luke, I see you, brother. All things, I'm gonna highlight them. My brother Luke. All things work together for those who love God, who are called to His purpose. Yes, all those things, even the negative stuff will be as part of the journey, because you learn from the mistakes just as much as you learn from the mistakes and the failures, just as much as you learn from the successes. Yeah, appreciate that, Luke. Good to see you, brother. So it's all part of it. Okay. But it's the who is necessary to get this thing done, and the whys. The hows will show up. Don't get stuck. That's where the wall gets thicker and higher when you, how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that. Figure it out. Commit first. Okay. That's what we're talking about, the commitment after you decide. Step 4 is dominate. Self-mastery. I need my dominion to be in place. That's my relationship. Once again, my relationship with God, my relationship with myself. What are these particular things that are necessary? So I need to become better at being the best version of myself. What kind of identity do I need to step into to become that person? Okay. I mean, we don't get out of life what we want. We get out of life what we believe. We get out of life what we do. Okay. We get out of life the identity that we step into. Who is it that we are? We get our life who we are versus what we like to, or what we just think we want to do, what we want. Okay. One of my favorite scenes from the movie Black Panther was the scene at the beginning when him and Baku were battling for the crown. He came and challenged his throne. Of course, he had to relinquish the power of the Black Panther, and they fought and they were fighting, and he was losing. And he was like, no suit, no this, just a little boy. And as he's like almost falling out of conscious, leaning back, he upside down, he hears his mom, "Show them who you are," and like it just brought in who he is. And he said, "I am king, I'm king." And he just goes out and he wins the fight. So as a part of it, we got to remember who we are. Okay, step into the identity of who you are. Sometimes we forget about that because, of course, the enemy is the great accuser of the brethren. He is the one that comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So he's always in our ear, and he will use people. Sometimes those people are very close to us. Sometimes they're family members. Sometimes they're close friends who have limiting beliefs that are greater than your goals. And you have to recognize that and know how to dismiss those things, because you're called to another level of greatness. The good and the good enough, the whole that stuff is going to be pulling away from where you want to go. Okay, so be careful with those complacent folks that are speaking into your life too as well. All right, so you're designed by God to win, but we're programmed to lose. God is calling us to be great in that elevates Him, that honors the people that you're called to serve. But unfortunately, through sometimes our parenting, through our society, through schooling, through all the negativity that comes right there, we're being programmed to just be submissive unto things that aren't great. All right, we're taught to in so many different ways to fail, so we have to be careful with those particular things there. So casting down imagination, every high thing that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. All the thoughts, I need to always capture that, because mindset matters most. I need to make sure my thoughts, what are the things that I'm thinking about? I don't know if this is going backwards or not. Let me see if it's the right way. So we have this up in here as one of my favorites. So it's watch your thoughts for they become your words. Watch your words for they become your actions. Watch your actions for they become your habits. Watch your habits for they become your character. Watch your character for it becomes your destiny. So what we think on is what we become. So we have to focus our thoughts, focus our energy on what's necessary for us to move forward. Am I in alignment with the future me, the greater version of me, the next level of me? Am I in alignment with those particular things itself? Okay. Number 5 is drive. Take imperfect action. We wait for things to line up and overthink and heavily plan, and sometimes we don't make any moves because it's not perfect. So you're going to drive into the imperfect action itself. There's a saying, I have enough light for the step that I'm on. Don't worry about the whole journey. I just need to know the next steps. Give me the first steps that's coming up in here. Let me pay attention to that. We have an average, every human has an average about 40,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are exactly the same thoughts we had yesterday. So that takes a that's a lot of thinking and patterns in the way we do certain things that have been programmed. That if you know that that's the norm, that's 90%. I've got to work hard and be diligent and intentional about change. I have to be intentional with knowing that I've got to renew my mind, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I need to keep changing the patterns because I'm going to continue to get what I've gotten if I don't do something new. So I need to look for new ways to think, new ways, new patterns, new folks around me that's going to change that. So that's number 5 is drive. Uh, we'll recreate what's familiar. We're going to continue to move into things that are familiar. Step 6 is dance. Now, I ain't talking about boogie woogie, but be agile, be adaptable, be willing to learn what you're doing, what patterns and things are happening, and how do I adapt and adjust so that it's working, that I can keep the momentum going. How do I need to make those particular things? Because, you're at the beginning of your journey. You're learning a lot about yourself. If you're coming from working on that self-mastery side of things that we talked right before that, then you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the journey, you're learning about other people. And so now you're getting some momentum moving. So as I'm moving in momentum, there's some things I need to adapt and change because you're becoming aware of your strengths. You're also becoming aware of your weaknesses and possible strongholds that could get in the way. They become familiar. You start noticing them and you can correct it faster than making the mistakes that you made in the beginning. Okay. And last is number 7 here. Step 7 is to document and direct. Start writing down what you're doing. Start paying attention to what you're doing, and then you can direct the next person. Because the same limitations, the same roadblocks that you've gone through, they're going to be important for the next person. We tell our clients, you be our fit evangelist. I need you to go tell the story to your family and your friends, your neighbors, your co-workers, because we don't see them. Y'all do. So your change and transformation is something that can help them that we'll never even see. So you're like, you are my epistles. You're disciples of fitness and wellness. So you're going to touch them in areas. So I want you to be educated and understand what is it you learn about it. So document. Where did you get stuck? Where did I win? What did I do to get unstuck? Because you're the one. You might be the one to help change the life of the next person. There are people that you're going to reach that I'll never touch. I'll never have a conversation with. So your change, if you document a little bit of what you're doing, a lot of it might be something that becomes part of your journey. My journey came from being a little guy. I didn't start working out until I got to college. And so my fitness journey is one way. My relationships are another. There's a journey that I can tell people about where things I've done wrong and done well. Okay. My career journey, I've been in business 16 years now, for one business and 4 years in the other business. So there's a part of it that I've learned, and there's some things that I can pass on. I mean, I teach some of my Lionheart clients like how to start their own business because I've done that. So once again, from your journey, from your story matters. Your journey matters. So being able to document it and share it with other people along the way, because your journey matters to the next person. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Once again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, but once again, I love if you deploy these 7 steps in any of these key areas that you want to transform. I'd love to hear back from you how it's working for you. You can put them in place, but of course, if you need more help, get in touch with me. We can all work on those particular things itself. So let's go be great. Let's get it done. God bless. Go hard. Peace.